I know my hair is a mess. We're just gonna have to live with it. Hello guys, I come to you barefaced today because the concept of today's video is to take you through doing your makeup as if you have never done it before. This video is for people who have maybe never done makeup before or know nothing about it and want to learn a bit about it. I'm not going to claim to be an expert, I'm just going to take you through my face that I do every day, and I'm going to talk you through like how to pick the products and how to do it as if like you've never done it before. I know you see a lot of like makeup tutorials where they're like, just put your base on, and that doesn't tell you how to do it. But I'm going to try and go into as much detail as possible. This is probably going to be a long one, so strap in. I also don't know how much charge is in this camera, so maybe I'll film half of this today and half of this another day, but you'll get the point. So again, this is just for my makeup. There's many different alternative ways to do your makeup out there, but I'm just going to talk you through mine. The key thing that I can give you is practice. The main thing that you have to do is work out what works for your face, what works for your skin. So yeah, definitely what I do is not like the best way to do this, it's just the way that I do it. So you have a place to start, and then you can like go online and find a bunch of other things. This is supposed to be a starting point. This is not like, you don't do this and then you're done. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is, well, the first thing I'm gonna do is use a headband to push my hair back. You can use anything to keep your hair off your face. If you don't have a lot of hair, then it's not a problem. Or if you don't care, then it's also not a problem. I just find this easier. And then the very first thing that you're gonna put on is a primer. So you use this to fill in your pores. It also helps your makeup go on a little bit nicer. I just use this one from Ribble. It's the cheapest one I could find. If you don't know exactly what to look for, go to Boots, ask someone who works there, or just like buy this one. I find that this makes my skin greasy if I wear it too much, but at the moment, in the pandemic, I'm not wearing makeup every day, so it's fine. That is how much I am using. It is like a, maybe like a toothpaste amount. I put it on a little dab, like that, and then you just want to rub it in like you're putting a moisturiser on, just making sure that you get it over your whole face. But yeah, I see so many makeup tutorials online that like assume a basic level of knowledge, and I just hate that so much. There's so many people who don't have a basic level of knowledge. Like, maybe you've never tried makeup before, maybe you're trans, maybe you've only ever done a little bit of makeup, or maybe you don't have like a parental figure who can show you how to do these things, and I just think that's awful. I'll fix these lines. There we go, lines fixed. A little lighting exchange bit, I apologise. I just think it's miserable that there isn't things like this on the internet. I'm sure there is, but it was just a thought that I had this morning, so I was like, I'm gonna make it because I think it should exist. The next thing that you're going to use, focus on my face please, is a foundation. There's many different types of foundation. This is going to be the hardest thing to work out what is best for you. I would suggest going to a shop and asking the people there, but if you're not comfortable doing that for whatever reason, this is a pretty basic one. So this is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in matte. You can get foundation in two different there's a whole spectrum, but mainly matte and like dewy it's called, or shiny. I prefer a matte finish. This is just trial and error, you can work out what you want. I find that a matte finish is a bit easier to work with, so that might be what you want to go for in the first instance. Picking a colour is also going to be really hard. So this one is the lightest one that they do, but you can see it against my skin that it's actually not exactly the same. So yes, I have a lot of red bits in my skin, but I actually have yellow undertones. So you can see that by looking at your wrist. You can see that I have, see, that's a lot closer to that colour. So when I put this makeup on my face, it's going to match my neck, not necessarily all the red bits of sunburn currently on my face. So this isn't a thing that you're going to get perfect the first time. Maybe have a look at some websites that do samples if you're really worried about this. But yeah, this is a tricky thing to get right, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people will do makeup for years and still not get it right. What? Why are you focusing behind me? Focus on my face. There we go. So you probably won't get it right the first time. There's probably better foundations for me out there, but yeah, those are the best tips that I can give you for picking a foundation. To put on my foundation, again, many people use different ways, but this is how I do it. I use a brush. This is quite a dirty brush. Sorry. So the amount that you want, this one's running out a little bit. You get a little spatula and you can scoop a little bit on the end, and then like put a little bit on. Now again, working out how much you want is trial and error. Just gonna kind of font the hair there, because some people prefer more, some people prefer less. But if you look at, like, can you see like the little lump of foundation? It's gonna be hard to focus on. The little lump of foundation on the end of the spatula. That's about how much I use, times 4. Again, same places as the primer, one in each cheek, chin and forehead. And then this is the hardest bit, and this is the thing that you're probably going to need to learn to do the most, and that is to blend. So I start off with like a triangle shape like that, and then do it on both sides, and then blend this one up and down like that. And you want to make sure you also get under your chin as well, and then this way both sides, and then you just have to go through and blend. So I'm going to do that in the mirror, and you just have to keep going until there's no more streaks. Yeah, this isn't a thing that I can teach you how to do. This is a technique that you just have to learn. It depends on the brush you use. It depends on if you're going to use a sponge or whatever to do it. It is just a thing that you need to learn how to do. But you will know when it's not right, and you'll know when it's right. Because when it's not right, you have streaky bits of foundation all over your face. And when it is right, you won't. Yeah, make sure you get all the edges and that you blend it down there. There you go. So now you can see a lot closer in colour, the red bits are gone. That's what it's for. Also makes your makeup sit on nicer. So the next thing I'm going to do is a bit of contouring. So I use quite a dark one. I have always used quite a dark one. I am very pale, as you can probably tell, but I've just preferred a dark one. You probably don't want to start with a one this dark. And the very basic technique for putting for like contouring with bronzer is to use one of these angled brushes. If I sit that flat, you can see the top is at an angle, and it's quite thick bristles. So you want to dot on a little bit, not too much on the brush, and then go like that and like that on your forehead, so you're creating a triangle in the middle of your head like that. You see what I'm doing? And then again, you're doing in that bit there, and then underneath your cheekbones like that, on both sides. And then I also like to do under my chin and then down my neck a little bit. Again, this is personal preference. Your face shape will dictate how you want to do this, and like personal preference and things like this. That is the most, it's called the 3 method, so you're doing a 3 like that, and it is the most basic way of contouring. You can contour your nose, you can contour the rest of your face if you want, but I'm going to leave it at that because that's all I do. And then again, this is the thing that you just need to learn how to do, and that is blend out the edges as much as you can. You just go over it and blend it out like that. We're going to be using some powder later to blend out a little bit better, so I put that on a little bit thicker than I normally like it, but we're going to do a bit more blending later on. You can already see that it's changed the shape of my face, but I'm going to do a bit more blending with a thing on top of it later on, but definitely blending it out, and you can see that there's not a lot of product on there at all. There's not like streaks, it's not like a hard line or anything like that. You don't want too much product on it. So the next thing that I do is highlight. Because I'm so pale, I need the lightest highlight you can get, which is just white. Again, this one will last me years. You need the tiniest little bit of this. Everyone likes to apply this in a different way, but I like to take this like flat-ended fluffy brush. So the camera's struggling with this a little bit, but you can see that the end is flat and it's a very dense fluffy brush. So yeah, these are called fluffy brushes. Again, this might be a thing that you want to ask like someone in a shop about if you're struggling with brushes. They will be able to direct you to the right ones. But I can totally understand if in your situation you're not happy going into a shop and asking the people in there. So the way that I do it, again, depends on the shape of your face, but I'm just telling you how I do it, is creating like a triangle like that, so thicker at the top and then thinner in the middle, but not going all the way down, about halfway down. Just check with the mirror, and then I do a bit on the nose and then drag it upwards a little bit to the nose, drag it up, and then I do Cupid's bow like that, and then a little bit on like this bit of my chin. But not everyone has this bit of their chin, so I guess you can't do that if you don't have one of them. And then I go around my eyes like that, again blending out. You don't want any harsh lines. Next thing I'm doing is blusher. The brush that I'm using for this is a flat on the top, a very, very dense brush. So there's a lot of hair in there, and it's flat on the top and it is like rounded. So again, colour depends on your skin tone and things and what you go for. I go for quite a deep red, but I put it on quite lightly, so you just tap a little bit on, not a lot, and then I go along here, but again, work out where works best for you. So go like that and then blend it out. Very subtle. That's all you want. Perfect. Okay, so it all looks a little bit harsh right now, but then we're taking this powder. It's not going to focus, it doesn't like focusing on makeup. This is Rimmel's Stay Matte powder, so this is a setting powder. You don't have to use this one, you can use a different one. This is just a cheap one, I need a new one. That is the same colour as your foundation. Quite often companies will have like a matching foundation and powder, so you can just work out what the same colour is. And then I'm using, so this is very similar to the blusher brush, but a lot bigger. So it's very dense, flat on the top, very, very dense blush. And then you want to get quite a lot on this time, and then you're going all over like this, like buffing it in. You're not being pushing too hard with it, but just blending everything out with it. So this will blend everything together, and it will also keep your makeup on. So speaking of keeping your makeup on, I'm gonna take this garlic off because it's really warm in here. I would open the window, but I don't want like background noise. So speaking of keeping everything together, the next thing we're going to use is a translucent powder. Normally they don't come in these fancy bottles, but this is the one that I have. I'm taking a bit of a rougher brush, but still the same sort of shape as the translucent powder brush. You can use the same one if you want. And we're putting a little bit more on this time, so enough that it like still taps off. And then we're gonna put it on my face like that, around. You kind of learn where it needs to go. Again, this is just another thing where you need to practice. And then we're gonna leave it. I promise we're not leaving it like this. I promise this isn't a crazy thing to do. This is kind of what baking is, if you've heard of that, but basically what you do is you like pack it onto your face, and then it'll sink in a little bit more, so when you spread it out, it'll keep your makeup on. And this isn't exactly how you're supposed to do it, but I find that this works for me, so this is the way that I'm gonna do it. And then we're gonna go on to eyes. So I do my eyebrows in two different ways. I'm gonna show you the slightly more complicated way, but I'll also show you how you can modify it to be the easier way if you want to pick. So to do your eyebrows, you use these tiny little angled brushes. I use eyeshadow to do my eyebrows, but again, everyone's different. So tiny little angled brush. Can't see it very well, and you want to get quite a lot on the end. This is the colour that I'm using. Normally I would pick a slightly lighter one for my eyebrows, but because I'm not my natural hair colour, that this is a bit darker than my natural hair colour, I pick an eyeshadow that fits with this hair colour rather than my natural eyebrow shade, because then it looks a bit more natural. So with this one, you're going to start in the middle, right at the top of the arch, and we're going to blend downwards, and we're going to turn our eyebrows into a point. They're kind of already in a bit of a point, but you want to make them into like more of a point. So at this point you're basically just colouring in your eyebrows from the middle to the end. You see that? It doesn't have to be complicated. People overcomplicate this. I don't think it has to be complicated. Okay, and then I'm going to, about halfway between the arch and the end, I'm going to fill in that same brown again. But we're going to be a little bit lighter with it this time. Same on both sides, so just not use as much, just don't press down as hard. And then I like to use a red, because I like to keep things exciting. So I use this red that's very similar to my hair colour when it hasn't faded like it currently is, and I just use the exact same technique, but I use it from the inside out. On this point you want to make a bit of a square, like your eyebrows naturally, and then blend it in with the rest. This just takes practice. Yeah, that's all I can say for that. Just make a square on the end, so I like to do the top line and then the bottom line like that, and then fill in the middle. And then, without getting any more pigment on my eyebrow, just dragging that back through. And then sometimes, if like that, where it's ended up a bit harsh, I just blend it out a bit with my finger. I know it's a bit less harsh. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Line at the top, line at the bottom, fill it in, drag it back. See, doesn't have to be complicated. This one's a little bit harsh, but we're going to deal with that in a second. So then we're going to do eyeshadow again. People overcomplicate this. I like to keep it simple. I'm using a gold and a brown. This gold goes with this brown. This brown is the same as my eyeshadow colour. You can use palettes for all sorts of things. This is just my personal preference. Some colours suit some people, some colours don't. I like this gold. You might have to experiment to find something, buy a palette, see what colours work for you. I will specifically suggest this Inglot system. This is really good. I really like makeup from Inglot. You buy this palette, you buy the singles, you make your own palette, so you can pick and choose what you want to use. But if that's a bit overwhelming to you, you can buy many palettes where it's just like 100 colours for cheaper if you want to practice some things. Especially with an eyeshadow that's quite a neutral tone like this, you want to grab a fluffy brush like this. Exactly what it's described as. It's like longer than the square one, which is the one that we use for highlighting. It is a fluffy brush. I really like my Made You Look brushes. I think they're excellent. They are still for sale. I've used them for years. I think they're fantastic. However, they are quite expensive, so maybe as your first brush set, not the best idea. So yeah, we're just packing this on all over the eyelid. Don't worry if it gets a little bit above, because, you know, that's going to give you a more natural blend line. It's going to be a little bit easier if you start off with a colour like this, which isn't a million miles away from your skin tone, because if you can't blend out completely, it doesn't really matter. So there we go. We just packing that on, rubbing it around. Try not to squint your eye like this when you do it, because when you open your eye you'll end up with creases, but you can fix that. Done. Not too complicated. Just rubbing off the bit of the gold and then taking the same brown that I use for my eyebrows, and we're going to blend it in a little bit. So in order to blend this, because they're colours that are quite easy to blend anyway, I just colour in this half of my eyelid. It's not that complicated. You see what motion I'm making there? I'm not like hitting it, I'm being quite light and just rubbing over the outer part of my eyelid, and then we have a nice little gradient. This certainly isn't the most elaborate makeup look ever, but you're probably not wanting the most elaborate makeup look ever right now. You're just wanting to know the basics, which is what I'm showing you. So, do it again on the other side. Dead easy. We're going to use one more colour from this palette, and that is the white. That is because I like a really, really bright highlight for underneath my eyebrows, which is what I'm about to do. If you're not as pale as me, you might want to choose a different colour, but I'm using, this is like a really dense brush, really small dense brush. It's not focusing very well, but it came on the end of this other brush, so you quite often do see them on the other end of brushes. Then you can use other brushes if you want, and I take like white and it's properly packed on there, and I just go rub it under my eyebrow like that and blend it out a little bit. I just think it gives my eyebrow a little bit more shape, and I also do a bit less, but a line across the top as well. And you can see this eyebrow looks better than that eyebrow, because that's what doing makeup is about. Do it again on the other side, under the arch, not the whole way up, just like the tail bit, and then just a line over the top like that to outline your eyebrow, and it just looks better. Okay, then we're going to do eyeliner. This is the hardest bit. If you want to do winged eyeliner, the first thing I suggest is practice, because this is hard. I suggest the NYX Epic Ink Liner. It is a felt tip liner and it is black. Felt tip liners are much easier than pencil liners if you're doing winged eyeliner. And I'm going to show you how I do mine. I need the mirror to do this. Even I struggle with this bit, and I've done this every day for years. So yeah, do not beat yourself up if you don't get this right the first time. I often don't get it right the first time, and I've done this every day for years. See, this is exactly what I mean about not getting it right every time. There's now a massive stain on my desk. I'll remove that with some makeup remover later. Eyeliner, don't hold it upside down like I've just done, because all the ink will run out. So I'm gonna wait for the ink to settle back in a little bit. Okay, so to do this, I go from the corner of my eye, point upwards to the bottom of my eyebrow. That's the first step. Okay, I've curved it a little bit, that's up to you. And then I'm going from that top bit of the point and drawing a straight line across to the middle of my eye, roughly where my pupil is. You see what I did there? I curved it a little bit, but I'm aiming for straight. And then I coloured it in. aiming for straight. That's funny. And I coloured it in, and then I'm gonna do as thin a line as I can from this corner to meet in the middle, and that is like, you're not trying to make it thick, you're just trying to make it as thin as you can get it. There you go. Is that perfect? No. Is there people on TikTok who do it better than me? Absolutely yes. Is this what we're gonna get? Also yes. So this is what we're doing, and I'm gonna just do the other eye again to show you what I'm doing. So bottom to eyebrow. Oh, there's too much. Oh, okay, 1 second. The issue about using a felt tip liner is if you hold it upside down for too long, like if you're talking and doing it at the same time, the ink runs to the bottom and then you get, can you see it's bled at the bottom there because there's too much ink in it. So I'm going to show you how to do the other eye while I wait for that ink to settle so I can do this one. Waterline is the next thing. I like a gold waterline. It's just what I like. You can experiment. White is quite nice. You can also use black, which is the classic one. This is a pencil. This you just have to get used to doing. And that is literally colouring in your waterline. Looks gross. I couldn't do it for years, and then all of a sudden you just stop being able to feel it. It's probably not good for your eye, but here we are. Okay, so that was not a very good example because this eyeliner is melting because it's really warm here. But that is, in theory, how you do it if you can get it right. Next thing is mascara. Mascara doesn't need to be that complicated about how you pick it. Most mascaras just do it. Yeah, most mascaras are mascaras, to be honest. I don't understand buying expensive mascaras, but there is a technique to putting it on. So you want to close your eyes and you want to do the top of your top lashes, so the bit that would face the eye. People forget this, it is worth it. And then, I'm going to get some more mascara on your brush. You're going to do the very, very base of your eyes, just close to your eyes you can get, and you're going to like shimmy it in. Can you see what I'm doing? Like rubbing it in like that, and then you just brush the lashes like that. This is hard to get right without blinking. I still sometimes stab myself in the eye and ruin my makeup, so don't be mad at yourself if you do this wrong. And then don't forget the bottom lashes. Again, you really want to push the product into the root of the lash and then drag it down. Practice is the best way you can do this without blinking, to be honest. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Bottom of the lash. Push it in at the base. And then drag it up through like that. This is to make sure that it doesn't clump, basically, so that you have individual eyelashes and not like 6 clumpy ones. And then we do the bottom. There we go. Okay. Then you want to pick a lipstick. I am going to suggest to you, if you're beginning, to start with a lip gloss because this is a little bit more forgiving. But of course you can do whatever you like. Why is it not focusing on me today? So I'm going to put a lip gloss on. I'm putting NYX Cosmic Metals on. So for this one you want to do a cross on your cupid's bow. Like that. And then you're going to do an arch down here. Do not put lipstick there. You don't want to go all the way around. You're tapering off and not putting it on the edges there. Like that. Can you see? I didn't fill them right at the edges. I don't know why, it just doesn't look right if you go all the way around. And then for the bottom, starting in the middle, spreading out, not going right to the edge. There we go. So final step is take this brush that you put your translucent powder on and just blending in the rest of it. Oh, I have too much on this brush. So this is not particularly perfect makeup, but it is a full face and it is the basic technique that you will need to do a face like this. You definitely want to investigate as many different methods as you can to work out what works for your face, to work out what you're comfortable with, to work out the colours that you need and all sorts of things. This is definitely not the final stage, but if you are trying to work out like basic makeup, this is a good place to start. That will give you most of the brushes and most of the techniques that you can use to do quite a few other things. And good luck with the eyeliner is all I can say. Yeah, I'm sorry that so many people out there assume a basic knowledge, and most people just have to learn by trial and error. But through the internet, people like me who've been doing it for years can teach people who might not have the opportunity to learn through the normal methods, through like it cut off. But basically what I was saying is that like people you know, you might not be able to learn through like your parents teaching you it, or like YouTube teaching you it, or you might not have the luxury of having like your younger teenage years to experiment with makeup for whatever reason. So I hope that this might help a little bit. If you do have any questions about makeup, let me know down in the comments. I'm not an expert, but I will be completely non-judgmental in answering your questions as best as I can. So yeah, I hope you have a great week, and I hope you have fun trying makeup for the first time, because honestly it is so much fun, and learning is part of the fun, so do not be too harsh on yourself. Everyone starts somewhere. You should have seen my makeup years and years ago. Even this isn't the best it's going to be for the rest of my life, and years ago it definitely wasn't the best it was going to be for the rest of my life. So yeah, if you have any requests or questions, then leave it down in the comments. New videos every Wednesday. Like, subscribe and all that jazz, and I will see you next week. Bye!